Hey there, happy Saturday. It is Mama Radha. Hope everyone's doing fantastic. I've been whew, doing my job. Um, Lots of family stuff, kids, dogs, vets. It just doesn't stop. And it's great, it's fine. The up and down, ebb and flow of a big family life. And my sweet love of master is working 16 hours a day right now. So we were up at 4 a.m. and we did not get much sleep. The power went out. And then when the power came back on, the printer was making all kinds of weird noises and like going through some sort of a beginner cycle or something. And so it was just like, me, making all these beeps. And oh my gosh, I just started giggling. I was like, I am so sorry, sweetheart. And he's like, oh, that's what happens when you leave the printer on and the power goes off. I was like, oops, I guess that was me. So anyway, yeah, so, but I made sure I gave him some good loving. So he finally got to sleep for a little while. And lucky me, I get to go back to sleep after I send him off to work. So, anywho, yeah, so it's just been busy, family life, this, that, the other. Um, Trying to encourage a couple of the kids to just go ahead and start a little business together. They're both really incredible artists, and I say go for it. Uh, you know, like a tattoo artist, they have incredibly detailed hands, like steady hand with very realistic artwork. It's just fantastic. So, anyway, who knows? I mean, why not? These days, nothing is the way it used to be, where you had to go to college, you had to do this, and you had to do that. Um, I don't know. And even though you do have to have some kind of secure plan for your future, but at the same time, you do also have to be willing to take risks, take chances, and sometimes creating your own family business really is the best way to go. It's always been a goal of mine for our children to create a place where they could do whatever, do their artwork, whatever. We have a very artistic family and very entrepreneurial family, so we'll see how it goes. Anywho, it's just fun to talk about these things and the steps that it takes to start new things, new businesses, and everything. And the best part is that they have, their father's support. So that's great because he knows they're actually talented. Anyway, I hope you guys watched the Angry Man show podcast of the debunking the myth of toxic masculinity. It was so good. And I mean, I know these are things, first of all, that if you're a man and you're in the space, like you already know these things, but it was just so well said and just, just like really raw and so well put together in one little message. And I thought, yeah, we got to promote this. It's fantastic. And it's a tool to use for younger men, to listen to and give them some more confidence and backbone and strength to know that they're not crazy. They are right. That this is the way. This is what we need for our society. And if the collapse is inevitable, which it probably is, it's going to be needed to rebuild society. And only the strong will survive. That's for sure. So, anywho, whether it's for success in someone's own personal life or as a whole, keeping our species going, standing against tyranny and all those things, from the smallest detail to the greatest, it's critically important to understand how valuable you are as a man and how irreplaceable you are. Machines cannot replace men because men are the ones that created machines. They will be flawed. They're not going to be perfect. There's going to be problems with them. And we're always going to need strong men. Always. And the none of that is a surprise to anybody that's listening to my messages, I don't believe. Um, but what may be a surprise to some of the women is the amount of raw beast mode, uh, terror inflicting savagery that is necessary from a man um, to do what needs to be done sometimes. Women have been taught, like, okay, men can use their words and get things done. We don't have to be barbarians or, have these savage tactics to overpower things and get things done the way that we want them done or whatever. Um, and that is not true, unfortunately. That's just the way the world is. We still live in like an animal kingdom. It is a jungle out there, and the savage will survive. The beast, the strongest, will survive and need to use that strength and show of dominance to get things done, to bend and manipulate the environment, to yield other beasts to their will, you know, yeah, to overcome and to subdue, basically. And it's interesting, again, my husband keeps a lot of his work at work, which is where most savagery is taking place. But at home, here and there, you know, it doesn't take much for, me to hear his voice, get a little raised, a little boom going, and okay. We're all very careful around here not to deliberately antagonize Daddy. We don't want to piss him off. It's not very nice, and he doesn't deserve it. So, um, but on occasion, I get to hear him react and interact with other people. Something's going on. We had an issue with our water system that's really the city's responsibility. And one worker came out, said it was fine on their end. We needed to call a plumber. And this was all before we were having the graduation party and his grandmother's funeral and all kinds of stuff happening. So I was a little unnerved about having, like 5 bathrooms and a possibility of some sort of an issue going on. But my husband was like, don't worry, it'll be fine. So I was like, okay. So we waited till after that weekend, and there was still like gurgling, bubbling going on in different sinks and bathrooms and whatever. So we called the plumber. The plumber says, nope, from here to here, under your house is fine, it's clear. From this way to the city thing, it is, full, whatever. So we call the city out. He comes out, and, my husband stays out there the whole time, so he knows what they're doing, and he can verify, whatever it is they're saying. And some of their devices and things had malfunctioned. They fixed it, drained whatever, and we haven't had a problem since. So my husband, had me contact the city water company people and just express that, listen, if the first guy did his job a few days prior, we wouldn't have had to pay X amount of money to the plumber to tell us that it wasn't our stuff, it was the city stuff. So the city did an investigation, and then somebody called and wanted to go over what they were saying happened. And I said, oh, hold on. My husband's at work. He works every day, but this is important. Let me see if I can get him on the phone. I put my husband on the phone, 3-way. He's at work, and the guy starts to try to explain that it was a coincidence that this happened to fail at the same time you're having problems, but the problems are the pipes under your house weren't laid properly, blah, blah, blah. Dude, my husband was, how do I put this? He went back and forth with him I guess the guy was used to people just saying, "Oh, okay," and hanging up the phone. But my husband went, point for point with him, overcame every single point that he had, with politeness but firmness and intensity, to the point where towards the end, basically my husband was like, if there's a problem with the laying of our pipes, we built the home, and who signed off on the permit or whatever you call it, saying that these were correct? The city. So if there is a problem, I want it in writing. And the man was like, it's public record, and what don't you understand? And oh, he messed up. My husband was livid, and by the time we got off the phone, I was shaking. I was shaking. I was like, it was just so intense, and it's just the raw amount of, you know, veracity and testosterone and just intensity. I'm just not used to that, and I could never argue like that. I couldn't do it. Um, so, we get off the phone, and my husband can go from like 0 to 1,000, but then come back down and cool off. I felt like my blood pressure was up the rest of the day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, whew. And it didn't even have anything to do with me. It was just listening to him being so fierce and intense and just like, going at it, going after it. It was very impressive. And I was surprised that it affected me so deeply. Uh, but I was shaking when I got off the phone. I said, oh my goodness. And it's so funny because it's not like, oh, I'm worried that now Daddy's going to be mad and come home and take it out on me. It's not even like that. It's just appreciating what I heard and knowing that it takes a lot of balls. It takes a lot of cojones to really not just stand firm, but to go after it, and not just cave or give in, and to have the mental agility and ability to hear what someone's saying and quick as a whip be able to process and come back and say, no, that's not right. This isn't right. Especially for someone that doesn't, it's not like he's skilled in pipe laying or pipes or plumbing or anything like that. I mean, he's a good fixer guy. He knows how to fix things. But that's not like his specialty or expertise. And this guy was trying all kinds of stuff like, oh, well, maybe a frog got stuck in your pipes, and a frog got stuck in our pipes. He said, from the second floor, from the roof, a frog got stuck in the vents into the pipes from the roof. Like, it was just hilarious. All the things the guy was trying to say, which just wasn't working, and it didn't make any sense. And I was just so proud of him. It was, a small thing, but he, my husband said it's not the money so much as the principle of the matter, that's not right. And, whatever happens, happens. But he did an amazing job. And it was just like a little glimpse of the intensity, the strength, the kind of Hulk that's in him, that I don't see on a day-to-day basis, but I know that's in there, and I do need reminders that it's in there. So, and being basically like a warrior, that has got to be an incredible balance to maintain. Being such an emotional creature, it's hard for me to imagine having that much strength and power and being able to rein it in like that, And Dr. Jordan Peterson has always said that a weak man is not a harmless man. Basically that, or a weak man is not a strong man. Yeah, he's not a harmless man either, because weak men actually do the most horrible things. But he says that A strong man is a very dangerous man who has himself voluntarily under control. And I'm paraphrasing, but you get the idea. Basically, that someone who can be literally, tear someone apart with their hands, that's dangerous, um, but voluntarily keeps himself civilized until the time is necessary to be dangerous. But that's unbelievable control. And that is what society has been built and maintained on, uh, how we can walk down the street and not worry about, generally speaking, you just being raped, like in some other countries, because of men that will come and put it down and take care of business. That puts a fear in people to follow the laws. So we owe everything to men like that. Even just our imperfect country, we have what freedoms we do have and the life we do have and opportunities we have because of men like that. Um, and it's such a shame that when they come back from war and battle, and yes, bad things have happened, soldiers have abused, people over there and this, that, and the other, wherever they went to go fight. But that's not everybody, and that is unfortunately part of the gruesomeness of war and battle. And for those men, they couldn't quite keep their savagery completely under control. And it's hard to imagine releasing a beast and then, again, trying to keep it contained within certain parameters. Like, okay, you can be savage here, but don't be savage there, and it's really quite something. Then to come home, and whether they participated in those type of gruesome things or just doing their job, being called murderers and all these types of things, it's hard to imagine feeling like you risked your life and then you're looked at like a monster, and that you are despicable in society when you're the one that kept society safe. It's really something for all the men that do all those type of dangerous lines of work. It's a very thankless, ungrateful type of careers or jobs or whatever you want to call them. But we need them. We need them, or we would be a third world country overnight. So, yeah. But anyway, so I really recommend watching the Angry Man video. So grateful to my husband. He's really just amazing. And of course he's not perfect. None of us are perfect. But I always tell the kids, I'm like, your father is one of the best examples of being a savage beast under control, that loves and cares for his family, that will sit there and talk to his children, and lay down the law at the same time. It's a beautiful balance. We were at the gym the other day, and we were doing 2 separate workouts, and he went off, and I said, okay, honey. And the guy behind the counter said, it's kind of weird, it's kind of funny seeing a big guy like that called honey. And I was like, oh, well, we've been together since we're 14, and he's an amazing man. He's like a grizzly bear with a teddy bear heart, So, and I told him, I was like, yeah, it's been a long time, and hard work, but so worth it. And he's like, yeah, of course. And this is digressing a little bit, but for a hot second there, I felt a little bad for him, because I was like, I see more guys that understand that concept than women. It used to be the other way around, where the women were very like nostalgic for a sweet love and happy time and family, and if we just stay together and work together, da 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 da, we can make it to the long haul. It's like thanks feminism. Now it's more the young men that seem more like nostalgic for a time when you found a sweet girl, you got married, you had kids, and you just made it together. And the women are like, I don't need nothing. I need to live my best life first, and all kind of ridiculous nonsense. Um, and then ignoring these guys that would make great husbands, and of course chasing who? Chad, Tyrone, I don't know, whatever all the other names are. But I don't know if you guys can hear me. It's getting loud out here. But yeah, anyway, so hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is kind of long. There's just so many examples, especially since we have 3 sons, of just how important their masculinity is, their guidance, even as boys, now young men. I've told you guys before that I realized they reached a certain age where actually I listen more to them now than they're listening to me. I still have my little nuggets of wisdom, but these days when there's decisions to be made, I'll ask them what they think, and I'll be like, okay, because they have just this logic and unemotional reasoning of things, and I know that generally speaking they're right, so I follow them, and they help keep me on the right track when Daddy's not home. So that's how it is, and I think that's how it always used to be. And anyway, lots of love. There's so much going on in the world, and right now, I think more than any other time in history, celebrating masculinity, giving them the credit that's due, and really, women got to get in their place, because if you can't see the writing on the wall, the fall that's coming, you will be on the streets, and it's not going to be pretty. Whew. And eventually, this whole OnlyFans and all this nonsense is going to crash. It's going to come crashing down, whether it's because of the insane psychological damage that women have done to themselves, the epidemic of suicidal children that will be when their friends at school torment them with pictures of their mother on the internet. And the fact that there are women that are currently mothers and do it is beyond my comprehension. It's absolutely disgusting. I cannot believe there's married women on there, married women with children, empowered and embracing their best whatever. Lord have mercy. The repercussions are not going to be pretty, and we're going to have, like I said, the first time probably in history that I know of, huge amounts of beautiful women dying alone, not being able to have a husband, and even many not having children. And it's going to be a sad, sad sight. But anywho, let's keep praying for everybody, and especially all these chicks overseas. Like, please keep, I know that feminism's made its way around the world, but for the ones that have held on to true traditionalism and understand the importance of men, and those cultures have not embraced feminism as much as the West and things like that, God bless you, and please, please don't say no to that horrible ideology that will ruin your society. And keep raising those girls right, and we'll send our sons over. That's all I have to say about that. Anyway, lots of love going on, and just be blessed. I'm sorry I've been so busy. I have a lot of work to do on myself too. I posted that one picture from just a few years ago, and I was like, oh my goodness. I have, just listen to daddy. Just listen to daddy. I wouldn't get myself in these situations. And, I've been trying to be kind of somewhat vague about my situation with the extended family, because I don't want to, throw people under the bus. I don't know if I even care anymore, because when someone is literally, truly, not just throw around the word narcissist, a real narcissist, and would destroy the lives of their own children, and don't really care about their family, who's done everything to try to help them. you know, I tried to reach out to the person who now supposedly has been sober for a little while, maybe about a month, and supposedly longer than that. But and it's just the nastiest attitude, constantly throwing things in my face, things I haven't even done. Um, whether it's pride, whether it's, the person's embarrassed, I don't know, but it's just nasty, just a bad attitude. And I don't need it. I've done apparently way more than I ever should have, trying to keep this idea of a family unit together. Um, and I think that's why the Bible says, leave and cleave. You know, that's not your responsibility. And I always thought that keeping family, whoever, aunts, uncles, cousins, whatever, as close as possible was more important in the long run than seeing families that I know where they've had disagreements, something's happened, and then they don't talk for years, sometimes for the rest of their lives. And I thought, well, that's terrible. You should do whatever you can to keep the peace, keep your family together on both sides. I feel the same way about my husband's family. But you know what? Sometimes when there's things like addiction and somebody is just not a nice person, then it is what it is. Then you're draining yourself of too much important energy that's supposed to go towards your own family. And your family needs all the energy that you have. Um, yep. So, anywho, I did it to myself, and now I have to recover, get my ass in line, and just do what Daddy says. And he's so wonderful because he won't specifically generally say, you have to do this at this time, this at this time, this at this time. He'll give me some guidelines, but sometimes he will say, you need to do this, this, and this, And whichever way he does it is absolutely fine with me. And I actually have found that the more that he helps structure my day, like this is what you need to do, then this, it helps me because I tend to be very indecisive. Like, okay, how do I feel? Do I feel like doing this now? Should I do this later? And, I know better, but I'm still so by my feelings and how I feel. It's ridiculous. So, anywho, but, so for all the women, they're like, oh, he's too controlling, blah, blah, blah. No, he's helping you. He is helping you keep your ass in line for your own good, for your family's good, for the benefit of everybody. And there's that wonderful masculinity, coming to the rescue. So, anywho, tried to say goodbye like 1,500 times, but I've been so busy. I just keep thinking of things that I wanted to talk to you guys about. But anyway, oh my gosh. And then, okay, last. I'm not allowed to say negative things about my physical appearance, okay? I'll get so down on myself, I'm getting older and da-da-da. 2 years from 50, it freaks me out. But and God bless him. He's always like, beautiful, blah, blah, blah. He treats me like I look like I did when I was 25. And I really, wifey goggles, thank you, Unday Chronic. That's the best. That's the first place I ever heard that. And I'm so grateful. So anyway, but I did mess up the other night and, he was rubbing on my bun at night in the bed and we were going to sleep, and I was just like, I said something about having to work on it, because I'm like, my ass just, And he was so tired. He found that little bamboo rod thing that we have. It's so skinny of a rod, long, but it's not fun. It is not fun. And he really like, yeah, I had like some little welts on my butt. I was like, okay, I'm sorry. So he's like, okay, are we clear? And I was like, okay, yes, Daddy. So, I was surprised because, I don't know, I didn't think he was going to get up and go find it. But that's how serious he is about me not saying negative things about myself. So I appreciate that. Um, and I do appreciate it, actually. So, and I'm grateful because I shouldn't say things like that. It's different to say, I'm excited, I'm going to the gym tomorrow and I'm going to be working on it and blah, blah, blah. But the other way is kind of a little bit more like, oh, poor me, pity party, and just like negative energy. So, yeah. Yeah. He really didn't let me off with just a couple whaps on that one. And then he went back to rubbing my butt. And he's like, oh, ooh, I gave you some welts. And I was like, yeah. It was it really smarted, is what they used to say. So anyway, so I do like domestic discipline. It does help bypass my emotions and crazy thoughts, and like, hey, lady, get it together. Again, my husband doesn't feel that he feels it's disrespectful, like smack somebody in the face. Um, he just never liked that. And besides, I've got an ass. It's there. It's got a cushion. It's like, it just seems like that makes sense. Um, so anywho, because sometimes people randomly find my videos and then they freak out. So safe, sane, consensual. Uh, you should never be afraid for your life, but you should have a healthy fear, reverence for your husband, and like acknowledging how powerful he actually is. Um, and voluntarily keeps it under control because he loves you, cares about you, and doesn't actually want to hurt you. Just keep your ass in line. All right, I gotta go. Love you guys. Ciao.